Check. Testing 1, 2, 3. Check.
you can hear. Hello? Oh. Please be seated.
I think it's funny. You don't have to think it's funny. No one else thinks I'm funny, just me. So.
Please be seated.
We are in a high school. You can't be that serious, right? It's not an AP test. Yes, that's fine. Oh. Actually, after there is an AP test for everyone who came today, so. And it's an extra one. I'm just joking. I know, again, I think I'm funny. So. Oops. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So we should wait. That's fine. I just didn't want to ruin their schedule.
Yeah, no, there's still kids missing right now.
Yes, he's going to. Yeah, yeah. That was. I'm thankful he was prepared for that. Yeah, the one that. You can sit down with Cindy if you want. Jeans Day, right? There's a big mix of. Oh, it's not. All right. Can we start? Do you want to start? Whatever works.
Yeah, maybe give it like 1 more minute.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
You feel good? You all set?
Yep.
All right, excellent. All right. All right, everybody can grab their seats. We'll get started in just a moment. Please grab your seats. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you everyone for joining us here and by live stream. I am Missy Freiling. I'm the alumni coordinator for us. Soon for our class of 2021. You will be hearing from me whether you like it or not. Thank you for coming again, and we are pleased today. We have an annual award for the Alumnus of the Year, and it's someone who exhibits a lot of the mission and values of DC 10 years out from graduation. So today we are very pleased to have with us from Honduras and by way of many places in the United States this last few weeks and this year, Cindy Hayes Williamson from the class of 1988. Cindy has been on the short list for Alumnus of the Year for many years and grappled her way to the top, finally. So we are very pleased to have her here. She's going to speak with us for a few minutes, and then we'll have the award for Alumnus of the Year. Cindy, if you could come up, and she's going to just speak to you for a little bit.
Wow, this is really, really weird, but you probably don't need me to stand here and tell you that. You guys are you all juniors and seniors right now? Okay, awesome. So I was thinking, of course, back to when I was that. It's a lot more than 10 years. It's 30-some that I was. I was a math major for 3 years, and then I got smart. Actually, truly, I was sitting in one of my practicum things for college at Taylor University. I was sitting there tutoring math, and this kid who had come up from the jail for the tutoring session, like these were all troubled kids. So the kid came up from the jail. We were not allowed to talk about anything but math in this room. And this kid just started talking and said, if I could share anything with all my classmates back in school, and all the tutors just shut up and let this kid talk. And he said how he would follow the rules. He would just submit. He would make so many changes in his life. And I thought, wow, I don't want to teach math. No offense. I don't want to teach math. I want to teach life. That's what I want to do. And so I realized that day that I was actually trying to take my mom's life in the world, because my mom had died when I was a senior at DC. And she had been a teacher here, math teacher. And so I thought, well, somebody has to do it. Nobody wants to. Somebody has to. But anyway, this is totally not what I was going to say. What I really have been thinking about as I was thinking about 11th and 12th grade is just learning to figure out what is it that God has for me. Because, I know there's a lot of differing theologies in the details of everything, and I'm not here to do a Bible study or a sermon, but God is our shepherd. Jesus is the good shepherd, and he says that he knows his sheep and that his sheep know his voice. And I feel like I've spent the last 30-some years learning how to listen to that voice. and learning that it doesn't always sound the same, and that sometimes we think we hear something and we head out in a direction, and then there's this little nudging, like, I guess that's the rod or the staff, pulling us back into line and realizing, oh, wait, maybe that wasn't quite where God was leading. So those are all the things I've been thinking about over the last few days, coming down to, okay, I'm actually going to be at DC, actually going to talk to some people live and face-to-face, which is great. Just what would God want to say to juniors and seniors? And I think, like, you guys are at a place where everybody's probably saying to you, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? And that's good. It's fine. God said also in his word to consider the ant, and the ant prepares, and the ant does things, and the ant's always busy and not lazy and all the good things that ants do. But Jesus talks about the sparrow, and the sparrow doesn't worry about anything, and it's all just there, and there's some way we're supposed to be living between, or doing both at the same time, preparing for our futures, thinking, planning, all the heavy stuff, and also just walking, living, abiding. So then the vine came to mind. We're all supposed to be just abiding in the vine, and when we're connected, that branch doesn't have to sit there going, okay, sap, come, sap, pull up, come on. It just happens. It flows. The vine gives the lifeblood through into the branches, and they bear fruit. And so, as I was thinking about my junior and senior year of high school, in some ways, people are trying to make it heavy, and you're just trying to make it fun. And that's another little tidbit. They say, when you go off to college, you're going to spend 4 years with all these people, and they're going to become your best friends for life. And you guys can have that here and now. You don't have to let go of your DC friends. One of mine is sitting right here, Carolyn Lamon. And what was it, like last night or the night before? We were at another friend who was my friend from DC from kindergarten to 12th grade. And then over the summers, when we went off to college, we came back to Newtown Square area, and we would every single summer have Bible studies, all our DC friends, and just pick a topic for that summer and invite people to come, and who came. And we just kept walking together in life, even though, we had supposedly moved on. And now, about a week ago, I got an email from Mark Poulter, one of my friends from DC, also 5th grade to graduation, and he invited us to his house when we're going through the Chicago area out in the Midwest. So don't give up on these friends. Keep walking with each other, but walk with each other in Christ and in the Lord. It's I was thinking too, okay, so we are missionaries in Honduras. This is so haphazard. Any English teacher would fail me. Right? We live in Central America. My husband Wes and I have been there. We had 4 kids with us when we went down. And again, we were like, well, God doesn't call people at this stage. So then we're thinking about like retirement, becoming missionaries and going. But God has his plans that God brings to be in your life in his timing and in his way. And he's in control. And our job is just to listen and submit and do, and walk and be with him. So we went to Honduras with when we went to language school, we had a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and 8-year-old. And yeah, it kind of seems like we were a little bit insane going abroad at that age, and all our kids then had to learn Spanish, and all their friends only spoke Spanish, and it was quite a life change. But it was the path that God had for us and for each one of our kids. And I have no idea what I was going to say about that. But that's the backstory to where we are today. And as I was thinking about just walking with Jesus in the last year, I mean, I think everybody in the world can say 2020 was a little different than every previous year in their lives. I'm sure it was for you guys. For us, it meant at the very beginning of the quarantine time, it meant true lockdown, like not like what people talk about here. We weren't allowed off our property. Once every 2 weeks, eventually they figured out a system. At first it was just nobody goes anywhere at all. And then they figured out a system, and we got to go leave our property once every 14 days, and we could go to the bank, we could go to the pharmacy, and we could go to the grocery store, and that was it. So not a lot of fun times, but the cool thing was that we had been doing a class on spiritual formation and on just how to draw near to God and how to listen for his voice and how to help other people do the same. They taught us about spiritual direction, where you just are praying and listening to God with somebody else and just trying to help people realize when God's been nudging them in a direction. You know, sometimes it's circumstances, sometimes it is wise counsel from many people, sometimes it's a verse that is just like, whoa, oh my goodness, like I never even realized that existed. I've been reading the Old Testament right now and thinking about, wouldn't it be awesome to have this pillar that we could just follow? It would be so easy to know, oh, God wants me to go to Taylor University because that's where the pillar went, or Houghton College, or, you know, wherever, Penn State. But it feels like, oh, it's not that simple. And then recognizing, oh my goodness, we have the Holy Spirit of God living in us. How much better is that, really, when you get down to it? Like, if you can really learn to hear his voice and distinguish it from all the noise around, that is amazing, too. So I was just going to tell you one quick story about 2020 and how God used walking with him to just make a difference in a lot of big and little things. So anyway, one day, so we ended up like walking around the gardens. I was telling my husband one day, I feel like a nun, except I'm married. We're walking around praying out loud because I didn't have anybody else to talk to. And literally, Wes was the only person I had to talk to. And walking around the yard, talking out loud to God, and gardening, which I think nuns used to do anyway. And all this, feeling a little like almost insane. And then we were just kind of like saying, okay, God, so what do we do today? Like, we have, it's maybe our day to go out, or maybe it's not, or just, Lord, direct our paths, like the shepherd that you say you are. Teach us to hear your voice, not just in the go to Honduras as missionaries sense, but in the like everyday little things. So in November, we got hit by a hurricane, which was so bizarre. We're sitting on our porch listening to the waves. The waves are actually 3 blocks away, closer probably as the crow flies, and just hearing this crashing coming in and going, we are in a hurricane. How bizarre is that? And so anyway, we got up the next morning and there's no power, there's no cell service, nobody has telephones anyway, like there's no landlines in existence, no cell service, no internet service. There are 3 companies in our town, all of them were wiped out. So the only way to know if people are okay is just to get out and go. And so we were just praying about like when, where, how, what. And we have a community Bible study there in Honduras, in our little town. And one of the women had a small baby. And so she came to mind among the first to make sure she was okay and the baby and everything. And so we got in our truck and we went down the road just looking at all of the water everywhere. So by this time, the pre-hurricane stuff had passed, and we were like waiting for the big one to really hit. And we got down the block, and this other neighbor was just looking distressed. Oh, we needed to find eggs, too. We had to find eggs because we didn't have anything for breakfast. So we're looking for eggs, and this woman was shopping, it appeared, was shopping at the same store, but she looked so distressed. So Wes just got out and asked her how she was that morning, and she said, Wes, I bought 3 huge chest freezers full of shrimp because we were supposed to be having this big tourism week there in Honduras, the same week as the hurricane hit. And so she had invested all their money in these chest freezers full of shrimp. And she was going to lose it all because the power was out, and it turned out that it was out for 5 days. So we were on our way somewhere else. We said, well, we'll be back. And we just started praying, Lord, what do we do? We go over to the woman's house that has a little baby just to check on her. And she said, we're doing fine, but everything in the house is wet. She had had a repair job done. It was done wrong. There was a space between her roof and her wall, and the rain was water falling into their house. And so there were no men in the house, just her and her daughter and her baby, and then I think her mother as well. So nobody that really knew how to do much to repair that, and we were able to just run out and buy 2 roofing sheets to cover that hole, and then they could all be dry. And then we'd buzz back to this lady, and we picked up on the way from another friend. They have a portable generator. So we picked up their generator and plugged it in at the lady who has the fish and the shrimp, and it was like she was completely saved. And she had been walking around going, Lord, what am I going to do? God, how do I do this? And she was walking in the street in the same place as we were walking in the street looking for eggs and going, God, what do you want us to do today? Like, would you just walk through us today? We just want to be walking with you and doing what you're doing, just like Jesus in the whole book of John would say, I'm just doing what my Father has for me. I don't do anything on my own. I don't say anything on my own. I do and say what the Father is doing and saying. And so we were just trying to put that into practice day by day. And here we run into this lady in the street with this huge need who's also crying out to God. And God brought all of these different things together. And the woman everything was soaking wet, and then it's dry. And it was just such a concrete example of being those sheep walking with Jesus and being the branches that are connected to the vine, and then you don't have to work going, oh God, what do I do now? What's next? But it just flows. And I mean, it's not always easy. You still have to make the big decisions, like where am I going to go to school? What am I going to study? And all of that. But if we are just more focused on being sheep, not trying to be our own shepherd, being the sheep, being connected to the vine, and to the source of our life and to the source of our strength, then so much more of that is just going to flow. And that is, I feel like, so important at your stage in life, to just keep yourselves connected to the source. And, change is coming for the seniors really, really soon. And for the juniors, right behind that, oh yeah, and the underclassmen piped in. But if you are walking with Jesus and don't lose hold of him, don't lose hold of your faith in him, your trust in him, in the big things, but also in just the little, Lord, what do you want me to do today? Kinds of things. He will guide you. He will never leave you or forsake you. And he will prove himself faithful. So, that's all. Sure.
All right, so we, part of the Alumnus of the Year is we historically have a gift that is sent to our honoree. And just this year, I was looking through getting ready to place this order, and I thought, gosh, it'd be interesting to do something different. Well, then FOTA had their auction. I don't know if any of you know about that. I'm guessing some of the arts students are familiar. And through that, we were able to connect with some beautiful work that was done by one of our alum from 1968, Thurman Mason. Thurman, would you come up? So I called Thurman after seeing some of the pieces he donated to the auction, and I said, you know, Thurman, his business name is Creation Collaboration, and if you read his website, it's all about creation as a worship to God. And so your work, I felt, was so moving that I asked Thurman if he would be interested and willing to design a wood sculpture for us that we could then give to our Alumnus of the Year going forward. And so he graciously went to, get some creative juices from the Lord and designed this gorgeous piece for us. So if you would present that to Cindy, and then Thurman is going to tell us a little bit about the design as well.
Thank you. Let me just share something about the design first, and then I'll present it to her. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm amazed, really. You have to understand it's been some 53 years since I last attended a assembly here at DC, and things have changed dramatically. For one thing, you guys look like a great group of people, and I'm very excited to be here. You inspire me, you really do, when I see what God has done over the last 53 years with this school, how he's blessed it, and some of the graduates like Cindy that have come from this school. It's just amazing. So I began my artistic phase, I guess, about 7 or 8 years ago. I retired from another career 3 years ago and kind of went full time into this. I started a website. I call it Creation Collaboration. And for me as an artist, what I try and do is collaborate with the Lord in my art. I specifically work with wood, mostly turning wood, sculpting it, burning it, carving it, sanding it, whatever it takes. This particular project came to me, and probably as an example of collaborating with the Lord, it's one of the best examples I can offer, because what I originally conceived has changed over the months that I worked on this project. As new ideas would come to me, the final product, which you're going to see here in just a second, is somewhat different than what was originally conceived, and that's part of that collaboration. I take wood, which is dead, cut down, in many cases destined for a burn pile, and I'll put it on one of my lathes, and I'll start to turn it, and I'll discover what God has already made in this wood that few people get to see, the beauty, the intricacy of the wood. That's my particular thing with the art that I do. This particular piece, as I tried to design it, I wanted to invoke certain elements like worship and prayerfulness, these types of themes. I think you'll see that we've got some images, at least I hope you can see it, of hands raised in worship, prayerful adoration, flaming tongues of fire, incense, and let me show this to you. And Cindy, I'm going to show it to you too. So what we have here is a piece of wood on the top, which is called box elder, and it's a wood that I love to work with. It's kind of soft, from the maple family, but when I'm asked how I painted all this color and design in here, I have to inform the person that I haven't painted anything in here. This is the natural wood. There's no embellishment to it whatsoever. This is what God has created in this wood that would have otherwise been burnt and turned into heat. So you can see some of the red stain that comes from a bacteria that grows in the wood. And it's almost as if it's a flame that's rising up. You can also see some of on the other side, there's smoke, and what I kind of see is incense being offered up to the Lord. There are three rings here, which I've tried to carve into the piece, representing the Trinity. And I hope it invokes the same kind of feeling for you guys, and certainly for you, that it did for me. The key to it is this base, which is made from an exotic South American wood. It's called bloodwood. And for me, as a designer, it's a metaphor of the Christian life, where we find salvation and faith and service, all being built on a foundation of bloody wood, specifically the bloody wood that was formed at Calvary. And so I'd like to present this to you, and thank you for your service, and hope you enjoy it and it inspires you as much as it did me. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this means you all get to go back to class. I think, maybe not. Tell them I said you can have the day off. I have no authority.
Oh my gosh, Thurman,